In this video, we're going to take a look at how to model object number 9 from activity 124, Fundamentals of Dimensioning. So I'm going to start by creating a new component, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to give this component name model number 9. And we'll go ahead and say OK. With this now active, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a sketch. And I'm going to choose the front plane. I'm going to choose a 2-point rectangle, constraining the bottom left corner to the origin. I'm going to go ahead and draw a rectangle in. Then I can go ahead and choose the sketch dimension option, and I'm going to make the height to be 3 inches, and I'm going to make the width to be 3.5. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish the sketch, and making sure that this is in the home view, I can click on the little home button on the view cube. I'm going to go ahead and choose extrude, and the depth is going to be 2.5. And I'm going to go ahead and say OK. Now if I click on the home button, it will size up the model to the window that we have being shown. And then what I can do is I can go ahead and create a new sketch, and I'm going to choose the top face, and we're going to kind of create the cutouts. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a 2-point rectangle, and from this bottom corner I'm going to snap to it, and I'm going to click, and I'm just going to kind of stop somewhere before that happens. So right about, so I get these blue lines right here that kind of make this L pattern. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose the sketch dimension tool. From the back edge to this horizontal line that I see here, this is going to be a 0.5 distance. From the left edge to this vertical line, this is going to end up being 1 inch. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say finish the sketch. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude, and I'm going to choose this area that I want to cut out. So I'm going to cut down into it, and it's going to be cut down into it only about a ½ inch, or a -0.5. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say OK. So that's going to give us kind of our first area that we have to work off of. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a new sketch again, and on this face I'm going to go ahead and choose here. Using the 2-point rectangle, I'm going to grab the corner again, and I'm going to kind of go through and make up kind of a very similar pattern like I did before, and make this kind of L pattern. Using sketch dimension, from this edge right here, the last edge that I picked up onto the blue line, I'm going to make this to be 0.5, and then from this blue line, vertical line, to this last edge, it'll be 0.5 here as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish the sketch, and when I hit extrude, I'm going to now cut down, and this is going to be a -1 inch. And I'm going to go ahead and say OK. So now we kind of get that stair-step effect that we see in the object. The last thing we're going to do is I'm going to create sketch, and in this face we're going to put the hole in. So I'm going to go ahead and choose the center diameter circle, and I'll go ahead and draw the circle in. And then I'm going to use sketch dimension, and what I'm going to do is from the right edge here to the center of the circle, this is going to be 1 inch. From the front edge of our object to the center of the circle, it's going to be 0.75. So this will locate, there's the 2 dimensions to locate the hole, and then if you click on the outside circle, the ring of the circle, this is going to be a 1 inch diameter. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish the sketch. I'm then going to click extrude, selecting the circle, and I'm going to cut down into the part. And actually over here in the extent type, I'm going to go ahead and choose all to cut all the way down to the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and say OK. So now that's going to go through and give us a hole in the bottom of our model. So now we can go ahead and we can hit the save button. So this finishes out the part. I want to make sure it's going into our practice folder, into our activity 124 folder as well. So model number 9, and we'll say save. From here, then I can go ahead and go into File, New Drawing from Design. My title block should be selected from the last time. If not, we can always choose that underneath the template by clicking on the drop down menu. And I'll say OK. This will load into the drawing workspace with our title block. Then I can go ahead and choose Base View up here. And then let's go ahead and set this to be a 1:1 scale. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click here, and I'm going to say OK. Now when I go to project, I'm actually going to project the top view because I want to be able to see the hole. Now The only issue is it looks like by the sizing, and we're not going to have a lot of room for dimensions. So I may need to double click on my front view again, and I can choose 1/2. 1/2 looks pretty small. If you can always type in a dimension or a scale as well. So I'm going to type 3:4, and that's a 3/4 scale. And that looks pretty good size and give us a good amount of room with that. So also with my projected view, if I choose my front view, we need to put an isometric view there as well. If I double click on it, I might drop that down to a 1/2 scale and shade it just that way it fits on the page just a little bit better. And all the isometric view is there for is just to visualize what's going on. The other thing I need to do is double left click on the front view again and change my style to visible and hidden edges. So that way I can see the hidden lines for the hole there. So a couple things I need to take care of. I need to go ahead and I need to grab a center mark from up here, select the circle, and then I need to choose a center line, and I need to go down here on the front view and click on my 2 hidden lines to throw a center line right down through the center of where the hole would be. I'm going to right click and say OK to get off of that. Now I can go ahead, I can drag this down just a little bit more, and I can go ahead and now start to think about what are some of the dimensions that I need to place on here. So using the dimension tool, I need to first, I'm going to look at my width dimensions. So if I look on vertical lines, I've got 1, 2, 3. I'm going to ignore the hole for right now. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need 3 width dimensions. So I definitely need the overall width. I could probably go through and grab this width here. And even then, it's like, okay, this is going to kind of run, if I did this one, this kind of runs into the object and kind of causes a little bit of a problem. So here's what might be better suited. I'm going to hit escape to get off of there. So I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to grab these widths and put them on the top view. And if you need to delete a dimension, I will right click and say cancel to get off of the dimension tool. I can right click on the dimension and say delete. And even if it makes you select it, you can click it and then you can say OK. And then after you do this, you can also drag these a little bit closer by these little gray grip boxes, so that way they show up just a little bit better. So there's our 3 width dimensions. I can check my top view. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, so I need 3 width dimensions to be able to showcase that. Alright, next one's going to be the height. Height is going to be horizontal lines, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, so I need 3 height dimensions. They're all going to come here off of the front view, so I'm going to have to put this to 3, and maybe up here at the top I'll put this one here, and then from this edge to here, and I'll make sure these are all placed kind of accordingly like so. Okay, last one's going to be our depth dimensions, and then we'll have to worry about our hole as well. So our depth dimensions, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, so I need 3 depth dimensions. So here's my depth from front to back overall, and then I probably need to grab this one here, and I probably need to grab this one here. Now, one thing you'll want to be careful of is make sure that the 0.5 is kind of, there we go, kind of away from outside the object, and that way we've got a good amount of communication going on. Alright, our last thing here is now our hole. Now, we always want to go through and dimension this, like here on the top view, the view that shows the hole as a circle. So I'm going to go ahead and choose, okay, from here, and I'm going to go up here and I'm going to click on the center, and if I drag over here to the right side, there's how far from that front edge, from this corner to the center, and then if I drag down, it's going to be 1 inch there, which is exactly what we want. Now, the last thing here is we need to go ahead and we need to put in what they call a leader line. So if I have the dimension tool active, if I click on the outside edge of our circle, I need to go ahead and kind of grab this here. So I might just place this down below. I don't want them to be running into each other. Remember, we don't want to cross any lines. And if I run down through here, that's going to kind of cause a problem. So I'm going to try to go ahead and place this right about there, and that will work for our dimensioning there. So again, just making sure that all these are very clear, they're easy to read. This one here is a little bit more of a complicated object, but that will go through and take care of the dimension drawing for model number 9. So you can go ahead and hit the save button on this one. It'll automatically put in model number 9 drawing. Make sure it's going into our activity 124 folder. Hit save. And then you can always hit the PDF export and save this on your computer and then upload it to the Canvas assignment.